welcome to Spookyswap and taking part in this AMA. Thanks a lot for being here with us.
Of
Let's just
course.
start with kind of introduce yourself and how you got into crypto.
All right. I am Justin Bebis. I got in crypto after almost a decade of thinking it was a scam uh, by doing like data analysis with a health tech company in Chicago. I was helping our accounting department and I was helping them recover from like a really bad audit, and it was like really miserable, and I was working way too much, and it was really annoying, and it was like not my fault. Like I was like brand new, and I like sussed out the inconsistency. And then my boss was like really stressed out too. So for her, I was kind of looking for like accounting solutions, even though like they never would have been adopted. I don't even know why I was doing that. I think she told me to, and she was kind of a crazy lady, even though she was kind of nice. But I kind of Google surfed me up an article about Bitcoin as a three ledger accounting system. So that would mean you've got the ledger between both parties, and then you have the third objective ledger, and that would be in this case like the EVM or kind of the consensus layer in some cases for some blockchains, but just acting as a source of truth for both parties to measure their ledger against, and it made like a ton of sense. And after that, I kind of tried to search for investment opportunities, even though it wasn't really helpful with work. I'm not going to tell my job, yo, you need to pick up Bitcoin. So I like just started learning more. I thought it was really cool. This was in 2020. This was in like probably April, May 2020. I started researching it. I didn't buy any until August, and that was when I bought Phantom. So Phantom was like the first coin I ever purchased. Well, scratch that. The first coin I ever purchased was like the Crypto.com coin because I was like, oh, dude, 18% APR, and I didn't really understand that you were even allowed to like do what they were doing with like their credit card locking and all that. So I was like trying to come up with like a financial like schema. And I mean, it ended up being okay for me, but Phantom after that was the first thing I bought, and um, I just like started researching, and I figured if I'm going to be a degen and invest in a shitcoin, uh, I need to hedge against that bet somehow, and I wasn't really a rich enough guy to hedge against it with, financial instruments. So I hedged against it by learning as much as I could and studying DeFi development and Solidity development and Web3 development and security engineering, because I figured uh, worst case scenario, if Phantom doesn't really do that well, I could just develop on it myself and make my investment do a little better. So I kind of like just took that approach, and I took it really seriously. Like I was studying 8 hours a day, nonstop every day, mostly because the stress of buying a shitcoin for like a risk-averse guy like me. I just kind of believed in it a little, weirdly enough. And then here we are today, and I never stopped studying all the time, and I never sold my Phantom. So now I am doing this for my full-time job and running a pretty big DeFi organization, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, so let's go into that. So what are the Byte Masons? What is it?
Sure, yeah. So the Byte Masons are a collective of really talented, smart individuals that work on DeFi software and DeFi related projects together. So that's really it. I mean, what exactly makes us up is like, we've got solid infrastructure that we're papering up right now. We've got a really good business operational infrastructure. We have, a really cool, fun, exciting team. We've got 16 engineers, we've got, applied mathematician, we've got a bunch of people who all kind of share this vision of like open finance and fair finance, accessible finance. And kind of our goal is to help facilitate the growth of DeFi, especially on Phantom, and just be the best organization we could be. And that means like be the most secure organization, be the safest organization, have the best organizational structure, have the best business management, and have a really talented roster. So we're 28 people total right now. Uh, we worked really hard to get here, and we're kind of getting ready to scale right now to even greater heights, and release some cool products that I think everyone will enjoy.
Yeah, so that's a huge team, 28 people. Now, is that in crypto, especially on Phantom, most of the teams are anonymous. Are Is your team just pseudo anonymous? Are you like is the Byte Masons corporate? I mean, I don't know if it's corporation, organization. Is it some kind of public company or
Sure. So we'll probably release a write-up about our legal structure and all of that, just to help new projects kind of think of their own framework. But we're working with the LexDAO gang, which is a group of like DeFi lawyers on Ethereum, and we're working with a tax specialist to kind of come up with how we're doing things. But essentially, like all of us are contractors working on decentralized open source software that is going to be handed over to all of you, which is kind of what we're going to be talking about today, probably. But yeah, it's like all of us are individual contractors, and then we have like a maintenance corporation that we use to facilitate off-chain business. Um, but yeah, the key is like, you know, we want to be totally above board, and we want to be able to say to a judge, hey, this was our best effort at making sense of what little information there is about the crypto space. And I think it will work out really well. We've got like some really cool value capture mechanisms and things like that that we're excited to kind of dig into and get rolling.
so what are the products that you guys have live right now?
Sure. So our biggest one is obviously Reaper.farm. As far as apps that are live, that's our only one at the moment, which is a yield aggregator. It just takes assets and then invests them for you in a strategic manner, and tries to maximize returns in a way that's kind of difficult to replicate on your own. So, for example, like even like some of our simplest strategies, LP auto compounding, each of those transactions that we perform, and there are often like multiple per hour, are the equivalent of 17 blockchain transactions. So it just wraps up a ton of DeFi activity that would be really annoying to do yourself, and then throws it into something like that. And then we've got like way more complex strategies we're coming out with. For example, our Boo strategy, when people deposit Boo into it, we take that Boo and then we have an algorithm that basically walks through the list of uh, X-Boo pools, and tries to determine a perfect spread to minimize dilution of each individual pool, and just farms a wide range of them at any given time, by sorting them and choosing the most optimal ones. So we're able to like really, really kind of max out APY in a way that's hard to do on your own, especially if like you have a job. So that's kind of what we're doing. And then we've got like really cool like flash loan strategies that uh, use like a leverage folding technique, and are way more efficient than competitors just by using flash loans. And some of these are on our staging website, pain.finance, as part of like our effort to reduce risk across the board for ourselves and our users. We have two websites, Reaper.farm and then Pain.finance. I guess you can consider them two different products. So I guess we have two apps that are live, but it's just to keep the higher risk products kind of out of sight of people who may not know how to use them safely. And then we have like things like deposit caps and monitoring tools that we keep going on there, just to make sure everything operates according to spec before we move them to the main website.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, this XBoost strategy that you're talking about was on Pain.finance, and you just moved it over. I guess this last week or so.
Yeah, yeah, that was on Pain.finance for like almost a month, I think. It was operating really well. We had some like front end weirdness. Uh, just some of our logic didn't scale well once a ton of people were going in. But we sorted that out in an afternoon. But yeah, it's like just to ease growing pains and make sure that we're exposed to as little risk as possible and that everything has enough time in production for us to really be confident in it. And then we have a retainership with Certic, and we get audits from PeckShield a lot. And we have an ImmuneFi bounty, and we just kind of try to cover all our bases. And then our two of our three founders are security engineers, ETHSec engineers. So myself and Goober are really, really crazy about the security. So yeah, we try to do it right, and we try to develop really powerful control matrices um, for like regular operations and developer operations. So ensure that all risks are mitigated as much as possible. Uh, Without, of course, like just making it an absolute nightmare to work within the organization. But yeah, we take it to a little bit of an extreme, but I think it's important.
Yeah, no, especially for auto compounders. I know we've seen issues in the past, and then that's been my impression from your team is that security's always been the priority. Really, seemed to be the number one priority.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was too scared to get into DeFi without being uh, a security engineer. Um, I didn't want to start a project or I didn't want to do DeFi. I was like making games in Solidity, even when I like probably had the ability to start breaking in. Um, and I was just like studying security and I was like, dude, I'm too scared. And I remember I would like get freelance clients once I was ready to start doing some DeFi stuff. And I would like explain to them what it means to run a DeFi project and what all the risks are, and then they would like get scared, and I would do all this work for them for free, and then they would stop engaging, which is like kind of stupid in retrospect. But it's probably the reason we started doing things ourselves, just because most people aren't quite ready for what it takes, and it's like it happens, and then uh, they are just on the back foot the whole time. So I'm like myself and Goober are both like Kernel OX security fellows. We're Urine Audit DAO fellows via Y Academy, and we study the hell out of every single thing that happens security-wise on Ethereum or on EVM networks. So yeah, it was like the pretense to our entire like existence was, okay, can we make like a safer, more secure, uh, like Yearn V1 type environment? And can we do it in a way that is better for users? So we basically were just like, let's have the best analytics and let's give people all the information they need to make sure their funds are doing what they need to be doing. Because you put your funds in a regular Yearn V1 clone, if you are familiar with like the drop down uh, front end, like you literally have no idea what's going on in there. And I was using products like that before we started, and it really pissed me off. And I like didn't even feel comfortable using them because it's just like a black box. So we're all about kind of delivering information and keeping users safe and giving them everything they need to make sound decisions.
right, right. No, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so, oh yeah, you mentioned because I know you like games. So you were doing Solidity games. When are we going to see a Reaper Solidity game?
The funny thing is, I like don't play video games at all. I don't like.
No, no, no. I know you do because aren't you like the lead? You've got the most points and
Oh,
with
dude, the
the
Grim Finance game.
yes, yeah,
Dude, freaking yeah, I love that game. It's like Flappy Bird, but
it's better. Yeah,
yeah, it is better than Flappy Bird. But yeah, we have literally thought about trying to remake the Grim Finance game, and like I'm hoping that if I talk about it enough, they'll eventually like keep working on it. Because yeah, I've spent a few good hours trying to get high
man.
scores on there. But there's like, yeah, there's this part you get to in like the second half where like these scorpions jump up, and it's really hard to get past. Just because I don't know, the timing is really weird. You need to practice. It's like a really challenging game, but
Yeah,
yeah, maybe one day we'll take a whack at it.
yeah. Cool. Well, okay. So I'm imagining most people are here because uh, Reaper is coming out with a token. Now, first, I want to say, from as far as I can remember, you specifically, and I don't know if it was the team, have been against having a token.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know kind of why that was originally and what made you guys change your mind.
Sure. So yeah, the Byte Masons, not necessarily Reaper, are having a token, and that token will not only cover Reaper, but everything we do going forward, and it'll basically just hand ownership over to all of you, the community. Um, and as far as like our opinion toward tokens, probably the biggest thing is we see tokens as like really powerful tools that are oftentimes used in a way that isn't like totally genuine or used in a way that kind of belies a misunderstanding of their purpose. And I'm sure everybody here has seen like coins go to zero or um, coins that are obviously not very well thought out. And a lot of times like if you're releasing a token before you have a product, or you're releasing a token before you have a revenue model, or you're releasing a token before you have a team, even, that is, to me, just like really, really, really dangerous. It's a dangerous way to approach things, and it is kind of awful. Like it would be illegal in any other context. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah, I
like
know.
illegal fundraising. But ignoring like the frickin' I'm not a cop. I don't really care that much. It's just dangerous to users, and people like can see a promise and buy into it. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and this, and then they don't know that. Oh, this is just like a sales ops guy who has used DeFi for 2 months and doesn't know how to program and doesn't know any programmers and is going to just, realize real quick after he releases that token that he's kind of uh, dead in the water. Solidity programmers are not easy to hire, especially good ones. So, yeah, we kind of told ourselves if we ever release a token, we need to be 100% ready to do this for a very long time. We need to be ready to commit, uh, and we need to be ready to scale, and we need to have every single thing we need to be as good a business as we can, so that like we don't fail our investors, you know. So we've just spent the last 8 months setting a lot of that infrastructure up and getting a lot of that ready and talking about it and executing on it. And as of recently, like, we're reaching all the milestones we set for ourselves early on with regards to what do we need to have a token. We need a big enough team to support it. Okay, we're 28. We need the legal infrastructure to do it without getting murdered. Okay, we've got that. We need the business infrastructure so that we can actually manage growth. And then, okay, we've got that. And We need to have a community that is ready for it. And I think at this point, we've done enough educating that many are quite ready for it. And we're doing like an ARG in our Discord and on our social media channels, and it's like really, really fun to see suddenly like a bunch of people are coming out of the woodwork and they're like crazy smart and they've been in our Discord for like months and months and months lurking, and now that we're doing this puzzle or whatever, they're jumping into the mix. So it's really, really great to see how awesome our community is, and yeah, I think we are ready at this point. And none of our opinions about tokens have changed. We still think they're really dangerous, and we still think a lot of thought needs to go into releasing them, and we still think products should come first. But at this point, we are prepared, and we're going to just be using this to grow, and we're going to be using it to kind of enhance our team and operations and our ability to um, kind of have marketing leverage, because a lot of our goals now are like, hey, we want access to Chainlink oracles, or we want to be on Binance or Coinbase, or we want these really big partnerships that we can't have until we can either provide incentives or have like marketing allocations for companies, and it's kind of limiting our growth at this point. So
Right, right. Yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
we're totally we're ready. Long story short, we're ready to go with it, and we're pretty excited about it.
Okay, so with that said, how are you guys going I know this there's some controversy as to how you guys are going to distribute the token. What is your plan for getting the token into the community?
Sure. So yeah, it's a fairly typical LGE. Well, I guess it's not fairly typical. That was a dumb thing to say, but it is an LGE. And what we are doing, so we want to get tokens into the hands of community members, first and foremost, being like members of the Phantom ecosystem. And we decided the best way to do that, and not only the best way, but one of the easier ways to do that, would be to reward holders of Phantom native NFTs, because something I found, and I'm like a big observer, I'm always sitting back and watching what's happening. And I see like people coming over here just for yield, don't give a crap about NFTs.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other people that don't care about NFTs. Like there was a time when I didn't care about NFTs, and now, I think they're fun. But we just felt like if we can reward NFT communities on Phantom, not only will that get our token into the hands of the right people, but it will add another layer of fun and excitement on the token launch. And it'll kind of help drum up demand in the Phantom NFT market, which is something that a lot of people I know were pretty thirsty for, especially at the time we announced it. So it is like, it's kind of a multifaceted decision. It's like, who are we targeting? And NFT holders a lot of times are not like the super whales. They're not the people with multi-million dollars. Um, they're people generally that care.
Yeah.
They either care, or I don't know why they're investing in NFTs, to be honest. No, some people are really good at trading those or whatever. I'm a bad trader, so when I talk crap about traders, it's just cope.
You're just
Um,
better. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so we're kind of trying to target the people that we're trying to serve.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make, open financial tools. We're trying to make really accessible financial tools and safe financial tools. So we're targeting kind of a fairly typical audience. We're just targeting kind of the median group. We're not teaming up with VCs to target other VCs. We're teaming up with talented normal people to target talented normal people. And NFT communities have those in spades. And
Yeah.
there has been a little bit of controversy, like with regards to like how we're rewarding people who are already using our software, and we're going to probably be just dropping them NFTs. Well, not probably, but that's how we're doing it, and giving them like even juicier allocation. So I don't really get that argument. We're just trying to make it as fun and exciting as possible and get as many people on board as we can because we're doing this without venture capital backing, so it requires kind of a large volume of people, and it requires like a lot of holding, it requires a lot of dedication, it requires a lot of people understanding our long-term vision. Yeah, it's much harder to organize and collectivize as 1,000 people than it is as like three,
Sure,
rich
sure.
guys.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's an interesting approach because I hadn't thought about that before when I'd heard this approach. But NFT people that are into NFTs are more passionate, right? And so it just adds they're not just. I think a lot of people in DeFi could be looked at as kind of just vultures, right? They're just looking for the highest APY and they'll jump
yeah,
from protocol to protocol. But um, people that are into NFTs, I mean, that could just be, I don't know if I'm right about that. They just seem to be more passionate about their project. So
yeah,
you are attracting a different type of community. Now,
yeah,
like you said, there was, and this is what I had heard, some rumbling about longtime TVL providers to Reaper.farm being left out. Now you guys are going to airdrop NFTs. Now are these ones that are you guys are branding or
yeah.
how is that exactly working?
Yeah, I'm not going to give too many details, just because we're trying to like keep things stealthy, just for security reasons. That's kind of how we do everything. But yeah, I mean, longtime community members and people who've been active within our community and have just made a positive impact, are going to be rewarded for it. And then people participating in our ARG event are being rewarded for it. And it's just like I've literally been in the mix 16 hours a day, keeping an eye on our Discord and keeping an eye on all of our users, and like doing an insane amount of customer service all the time. And like I see what goes on within the community and I know who's impacting it positively and I want to get tokens in the hands of those people. And the thing is, like, when you do maybe like a linear scaling or even a curved uh, airdrop to liquidity providers or something like that, a lot of times those are the same people that are like searching for the best yield. And we're already providing a really great service and giving them a lot of passive income and managing their assets for them. So we want to reward those people, but we want to reward those people if they also kind of are members of our community. And I think like there are plenty of those big value liquidity providers that were active in our Discord and that maybe do hold Phantom NFTs and are great believers in the Phantom network. And those are the people who are receiving tokens. Is like we're literally giving out so many allocations to Phantom community members that my assumption is if you're not getting one and you're not going to get one from our airdrop is either you don't really care as much about Phantom or we made like a really grave mistake, you know what I mean? And if we
Yeah.
made a really grave mistake, then we're open to conversation. But it is like we are really broadly trying to reward Phantom community members and get our tokens in their hands over anyone else's. We'll see how the result ends up in 6 months. If we're able to maintain like dedicated Phantom community members, and how our growth pans out. But so far, I've mostly seen success, probably enough that it's not even worth talking about the people that are like mad at me. But Yeah, I have for the most part, people have been excited, and especially the kind of high value providers that I've been keeping my eye on um, have gotten what they deserved. I think we've covered a lot of our bases, but
Yeah.
there's no perfect, it's just a series of trade-offs. There's no perfect way to handle all this stuff. I'm just trying to keep as many people excited as I can and give them a chance to get in the mix here a little.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because every protocol I've talked to that has done an airdrop, there's always something they regret or they wish they had done differently. So, and I knew you guys are doing this is different from what I've seen. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. So here, so how about you tell all of us what's the name of the token?
Crap, can I say that yet?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'll say the name of the token. It is called Oath, OATH. And the impetus behind that, not only, as Byte Masons, you look at our naming options, it's like, okay, Bytecoin. I wonder, let's look to see if there's any Bytecoin. Oh, wow, there are 100. Um, but we made a lot of like really careful like branding decisions, and we felt that kind of this token was our promise to the community to build long term and help make Phantom the best blockchain that it could possibly be and the best network that it could possibly be. Um, and so we came up with that name. We came up with our mission statement. Um, and we feel like we want to ensure that we kind of maintain our vision through like the years and years and years that we hope to be around. And Oath, we felt kind of embodied that really well, and it's short and memorable. So, yeah, yeah,
Well, cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thanks for letting us know. I didn't know if you were gonna say or not. So, oath token.
sure.
Well, awesome. So, do you this token? This is a governance token. Is it going to be a utility token? How is it going to be weaved into your different products?
So, it's going to be kind of a little bit of everything. Uh, so basically, like, not only will it be a source of interest, so kind of a big goal of ours out the gate is to find as many cost-efficient partnerships as we can to drive interest toward the token. So, that's kind of where utility comes in. A lot of people talk about a token's utility is like, oh, can this be used like Fortnite bucks or whatever, which kind of cracks me up. But the real utility of a DeFi token is the sources of interest that exist for it. So we're kind of really drilling into all of our options and trying to get pretty creative with how we can drive interest to the token. And that would be probably its main monetary utility. And then uh, I've also kind of fleshed out a gauge system that can go right on top of Reliquary and all of our other software that will allow users to govern um, like the addition of farms or govern other parameters within the software itself in kind of a high value way. So, um, I kind of the reason for like the reliquary's existence is we don't like locking mechanisms and things like that. We think they don't really make much sense for the average user. And then this gauge on top of it, all it is it's a user's commitment to not have weird gut reactions to volatility. So it's basically saying I'm a holder, not a trader. And so there will be like a 3 to 7 day cool down period. I haven't totally decided yet. And then that's really it. So we're not going to make users lock a bunch of their tokens to vote. They can just do that and vote on proposals. And the people proposing will just lock their tokens for whatever period of time we think that proposal will affect kind of the economy of the token or of the software. So we're pretty excited for that, and that will allow us to just fully decentralize our software really quick, and it'll be a lot simpler and easier to use and easier to understand for users and for developers. Kind of, we're trying to push farming and gauge infrastructure as far as we can, and make it make the most sense in the context of DeFi today, because a lot of the protocols people are using to manage gauges and whatnot are from frickin' early 2020 or whatever. Like Curve came out like January 2020. Their governance came out like probably like May or June or July or something. And it's 2022, and as fast as
Right.
DeFi
Yeah.
moves, like why is this still the standard? Because like it's not the standard because it's good. It's the standard because it is just there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, we're trying to push the limits of all that, and we were like, if we're going to release a token, we're not dealing with all the technical debt of DeFi in years past. We're gonna kind of go the hard mode route. So we made the reliquary, and we're designing these gauges, and we're just kind of make that the standard for us. Is we're going to be pushing the limits. We're going to be creating novel systems. We're going to be taking advantage of the fact that on our team is like 6 security engineers, and we have these auditor retainerships. I hope once we have a more, once we're bigger, we can get like a Trail of Bits retainership. That's kind of my dream. But yeah, we're going to create unique systems, and we're going to make them open source, and we're going to try to push people to use them as much as possible, and we're going to try to solve a lot of the pain points that exist in DeFi right now. And we've kind of been dealing with so many protocols with Reaper. We've read so much code. We've used so many DeFi primitives just trying to generate all this yield, that it's like we have the broad experience that's required to direct a team to improve all this infrastructure. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it on Phantom. And that's like kind of the exciting thing for me is like Reliquary is already open source. It's already about finished. We just need to make a front end for it. It's right in the Byte Masons GitHub. If you're interested, gauges will come to that very soon. And yeah, we're just going to keep trying to innovate and go a little crazy with it, and do it as safely and securely as we can.
Awesome. Well, let me. So I've got to cover some of these community questions because I know we're going to be running out of time here soon. So, um, my first question here is there a list of NFT projects? Have you
There
guys
is.
put out a list?
Yeah, there is. And the list is growing a little bit in like other areas. I apologize if you were part of an NFT project and we haven't added yours, or we aren't going to add yours. The volume of contacts we've received is like basically impossible to field. But yeah, in my Medium article that I wrote recently, it's called Regarding the Token. It's on my Medium, which is oxbebis.medium.com. Uh, right in there, there's a link to a spreadsheet. I think if you control F spreadsheet, you can just click on that, and you can open it up and take a look at all the projects that are supported. There are a lot, and we just like polished off the allocations and whatnot yesterday. So basically, each NFT will have its own terms of engagement, so to speak. And we like tried to make it really fun and creative. So we're excited to unveil that as well. But every NFT will have a unique value proposition, and we're just putting a lot of time and effort into making it as special as possible for every individual community. So yes, long story short, my Medium article, check it out, oxbebis.medium.com. It's called Regarding the Token.
Yeah, and there's a in the Byte Masons AMA questions. In that first question, there's a doc that lists all the NFTs. So,
Oh,
um,
easy.
yeah, so that's easy. Looking through the questions, NFT allocations. That's just talking about the medium. So, is there a Reaper plan to create a liquidity fork? I know it was discussed after the failure of Aquarius.
Oh, a liquidy fork. Yeah, liquidity.org. I love Liquidity, but at the time I was obsessed with Liquidity to now. I think I've learned enough to maybe do a bit better. We are going to uh, create a protocol on top of the reliquary that is able to issue notes, probably in the form of a stablecoin like that. Um, I think Liquidity has a lot of really cool architectures and design elements. I think it was uh, at the time it was built, it just doesn't fit perfectly into today's context. So
Hmm.
we do have designs for similar systems, but that will kind of probably take its own form as opposed to just being a fork of Liquidity. Even though I love Liquidity, I think they have one of the best stable coins um, and systems in general for stable coins. But yeah. Long story short, no, I am really long-winded, so be careful with these questions.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any planned synergies with other protocols like OXDAO or Solidly or?
Oh, I mean, we just plan to farm solidly and put our token up on there. Like we do have synergies and partnerships with other protocols. Right now, we help with DevSecOps and business ops, technical advisory and whatnot for Beethoven X, RoboVault, Scream.sh, Revenant Finance, and then a protocol coming out called Granary Finance, which is an Aave fork we are doing on Phantom with some talented individuals. So yeah, we have 5 clients on our roster right now. We kind of treat them like high touch venture clients. So we basically take all the research and development we do on both the business side and the technical side, and all of the security engineering we do, and we help them apply that to their businesses. So those are our main partners. As far as like Solidly, um, you know, Solidly is literally a way worse version of Beethoven X. It's like Beethoven X with a weird gauge system. It's like a social engineering experiment. Um, so Beethoven X is our partner, so we're not going to like engage too heavily. We think it's like a lot of it is just noise at this point, even though I think Andre is great. And I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. Technologically, it's a little regressive in my mind. So um, solidly, I will help with engineering for OXDAO. But I'm not like super invested in the project. I'm just going to try to divert some of the value being created to our token when it comes out. And beyond that, I'm not thinking about it too much. We might integrate with it with Reaper and maybe make some investment strategies. But yeah, it is. Beethoven is a lot more interesting to us, and we'd rather kind of study their code and work on unique integrations with them than with Solidly necessarily. But we'll see how it comes up. We'll see what happens over the next month or so.
Okay. So I got another important question here. So it's the question is, so when will Beebus dual wield a katana like Kira Cocoon from Sword Art Online?
Yeah, so that is kind of has been on our roadmap for a while. Um, we actually have been in talks with a blacksmith to create a Byte Masons sword. Well, I haven't been in talks with him, but someone I know has been in talks with him. So, yeah, it's been on our roadmap for a while. And I know a lot of people are kind of demanding that we hurry it up. But just know we're working on it. I'm not sure about Katana. I'm a big fan of the Katana protocol, but there are a lot of other really great weapon platforms out there. So it'll really depend on what we're feeling at any given time. And also, I'm more of a Katanagatari guy than Sword Art Online as far as sword-based anime.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, looking through the questions here. Um, so what happens to my he's have redacted NFT? Is it going to increase or decrease my farm position? Um, I guess
Um,
Yeah, will there be any kind of effect on APR
Um,
regarding these NFTs?
yeah, so the reliquary, the NFTs are just for kind of the token launch, the ones we're giving licenses to and whatnot. So the community NFTs are for the token launch. It will get you an advantage during the LGE and allow you to acquire shares for cheaper with like unique vesting terms and value propositions. And we'll be releasing a spreadsheet that details all of that soon. We're getting kind of uh, autistic with it. I don't know if that's a nice thing to say, but we're like being really focused and having like we're data maniacs. So we're being maniacal with the data. But yeah, the reliquary, however, that is kind of how we're releasing our farming infrastructure. So the reliquary is going to be essentially, if you're a Spookyswap user, you have the Spookyswap farm. Okay, you put money in there and it just sits there and does nothing. Okay, awesome. What the reliquary will be able to do is it will allow you to unlock that liquidity. And basically, when you put your money in, it will issue you an NFT that will represent that underlying position. Um, and the cool thing is that NFT over time will age and it will mature. And the emissions you get for holding the NFT and therefore the underlying tokens will mature over time. And so the lending protocol we want to build on top of Reliquary will allow you to leverage those underlying tokens through that NFT. And you can also trade it on platforms like SpookySwap. We're generating SVGs on chain, a lot like UniV3 does, to create like a really cool information rich uh, you know, picture for it, or I don't even know, artifact, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that would be kind of our NFT yield solution. The community NFTs are just for our launch and our LGE to drum up some
So,
excitement and give community members some cool advantages.
so how does that work? Is you take money in and out of the pool? Like, I mean, if you deposit 10,000 or something and withdraw 9,000, or you leave $1 in, I mean, how does that work?
Sure, yeah. So basically, every time you enter and exit the pool via this NFT, you'll be pushed up and down a curve that is implemented per pool. So basically, you can have all these curve libraries. This is getting a little technical, but we use bonding curves so that developers can kind of imprint the behavior, the holding behavior and holding patterns they want on their users. Um, so every time you enter and exit, it will push you down the curve or up the curve, uh, depending on all these factors, most of which being a series of like averages, like aggregate totals, aggregated averages, moving averages, whatnot. Um, uh, and yeah, so we manage your position on this bonding curve, and this bonding curve dictates your emissions over time. So imagine, if you will, like an exponential curve. It's just going up forever. That would mean, like, let's say after 100 seconds and 1,000 seconds and 10,000 seconds, the amount of yield you're getting on that position will increase exponentially. Now, you may think, ah, uh, what if like everybody does it and you just infiniment your token and it explodes? Um, all of the emissions are bound to a base emission curve, which will be kind of the curves you see in tokenomics spreadsheets or articles or whatever, where it's like, this is what our emissions will look like over time. And it's just a simple curve. So we'll program that in. Um, and everything will be bound to that. So it'll basically, your position on your individual curve will dictate the amount of tokens you receive relative to everybody else in the entire system. So that's kind of how we bind everything together and how we manage kind of the security and scalability of the system. And it also, like, there are a lot of distinct advantages. I would check out the GitHub if you're a developer and you're wondering, but like essentially pools will become like yield will become less competitive if you make people stay in the pool longer. So literally, like, let's say you have a square root curve for the pool emission curve, or a fourth root curve, and you make it so it levels off maybe after 3 to 6 months, or a year even. Users that join the pool day one will benefit from pretty much the base emission rate right away, and will rarely get lower than that. And then users that come in after them, so you have your longtime users that are in the mix, they're getting the highest emission rates. Users that come after that um, won't dilute their yield nearly as much as they do in current farming infrastructure. So it's a way to curb yield locustism, if you know what I mean, while at the same time delivering a ton of value to the user in the form of this leverageable NFT, and it'll also deliver a ton of value to holders because the NFT is going to age. And exactly how much value you're delivering to the holders depends on what curve you implement for that pool. Um, but long story short, it's going to be awesome. It's going to give developers a ton of unique tools to get their users doing kind of what they want or what is sensible. And it will not be as complicated on the front end as I'm making it seem now. It'll just kind of mimic
Yeah.
normal farming infrastructure, and you can expect to see a picture of a curve with your cute little uh, you know NFT sitting there. So yeah, it is. In use, it will be really simple, but it gives developers essentially like superpowers compared to what they have now, and it will allow us to reward the users we want to reward, and it will allow us to kind of program behaviors into the system, if you know what I mean.
Right. No, I know you've talked before about sticky liquidity, and it seems like that's kind of the approach you were looking for, is how do we get people to stay, right? And
Yeah.
rather than like be locusts, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. Without locking was a big part. How do we get people to stay without forcing them to stay? Because a lot of times you lock assets up, the receipt asset is oftentimes like not worth as much as the original asset. So our goal was the way we're going to get people not withdrawing for these NFTs is making the return assets more valuable, or the bonds more valuable than the underlying assets. And that's what we're doing with these NFTs. And I think we've really accomplished that. A lot of what our mission now is like education, making sure NFT markets can properly support these, make sure users understand that there are arbitrage opportunities on NFT markets. And we're working with like PaintSwap and other NFT communities to kind of push that to the limit, so to speak. But
So so do you see people collateralizing these NFTs or
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what we're building after the reliquary and kind of this product line.
oh,
So once we have a system able to collateralize them and issue notes on them, that will, to me, be finally a complete product. In its own right, it has a lot of power, and it's really cool, and it does a lot of great things. But until users can take loans out on it, that to me is like the real way to lock users in. You know what I mean? That's like the real way. Like, don't force them to lock for 4 years. Just give them a loan, and now they are levered up in probably a really capital efficient manner. And then they can wrap that into their DeFi strategy, and suddenly have a lot of leverage. And they're not going to be withdrawing their underlying tokens because they're freaking in the farm. So yeah, we've got a lot of really exciting stuff planned for this product line.
well, so let me ask you this. So this is something that was brought up. So the fact that you're this token is it's essentially not the NFTs act as a whitelist to purchase the token. Is that kind of
Yeah, our
okay?
our ERC20, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, there's people that would be concerned that, let's say, their NFT is locked away somewhere, right? It's like staked somewhere, or it's on
Yeah,
PaintSwap trying to be it's auctioned or something.
yeah.
You haven't taken a snapshot. It's going to be a case of where they just need to have that NFT in their wallet at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if it is staked or something like that, I really apologize. You are SOL unless you withdraw. But it is literally like every line of code is another piece of complexity we need to analyze and secure. Um, so to keep the system as tight as possible, we're not going to aggregate a bunch of NFT data out there that we don't need to. So like we're broadly supporting so many projects that there's a very good chance the people with NFTs locked somewhere are going to have some unlocked somewhere. And if it's a matter of cancel your auction for now or withdraw from this contract for now, and then you can put it back right after, then so be it. It's really just for the sake of security and developability and ensuring that we can meet deadlines in a safe fashion. So bringing in dependencies is not how you do that. So it'll be a really tight kind of monolithic system. And I apologize to anyone affected, but yeah, I looked into it briefly and decided that it was not worth the added risk of trying to aggregate all that data that I didn't really have time to fully dig in and understand the implications of.
Right. No, as long as they're able to take it out at that time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah. They can pull it out for a second and then throw it right back in. I
yeah, yeah,
promise.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So what is we haven't mentioned it here. Learn.bytemasons.com.
Sure, yeah. We are trying to create like the best DeFi resources out there in a way that only a team like ours can. So we have 5 researchers that are, they're learning Webflow. They're writing a bunch of amazing articles. They're collaborating on all of these resources, and we're just going to be using that as kind of our main marketing vehicle. So the idea being, influencers like aren't good marketing tools. Advertisements aren't really good marketing tools. Like, I'm sure all of us are jaded enough to not click on an advertisement 99.9% of the time. And sure, it's good for kind of getting your name out there, but we feel that putting education first and making like really fabulous resources that people would kind of be remiss to ignore is our way to kind of sink our teeth in. And then through that, plus SEO, plus just network effect in general, we're able to market our products in a way that we think is really productive and in a way that we think will attract community members that we really want, which are ones that have a desire to learn, are educated, and want to understand how DeFi works, because that kind of reduces the risk of us on our part having to deal with users that don't really know what's going on, if you know what I mean.
Well, cool. So what else do you have, or what else can we expect from you guys over the next year? I mean, do you guys have a roadmap? I mean,
Yeah, we've
other than the katanas, so.
Sure, yeah, we've got a roadmap in that Medium article I mentioned earlier called Regarding the Token. Check it out on oxbebis.medium.com. But yeah, we've got a bunch of cool architectures kind of drafted up. Some stuff we can't share for various reasons, whether they be security reasons or we don't know if this is going to work reasons. But we have like a really cool reserve currency prototyped out. We've got some really cool plans for Reaper. We have that reliquary lending protocol that we're looking to build. And, we have 16 engineers, and really, like, per project, you only need 1 or 2. So, um, y- rest assured, we're working on a bunch of cool stuff. But I actually, right now, need to go over to um,
Yeah,
Phantom Unchained, which is the podcast on FTM alerts that I do every week. If
yeah, I
anybody
get.
would like to follow us there, but
Yeah, I
uh,
really appreciate you being here with us for an hour and filling us in on your token and your project, and really
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, I thank you very, very much for the audience. I'm really excited to kind of show you all what we're made of. And yeah, join me over on Phantom Unchained if you're interested. It's on FTM Alerts YouTube channel. And I'd like to shout out Crab Nation as well. I love our Crab Nation. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
All
Thanks.
right,
See you around.
take care. See you, Owen.
Yep.
See you, Spooky Gang. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. Thanks everybody for taking part.